So imagine this. All right, you're walking into the gym, getting ready to kill this workout, man. You feeling like big dog, you about to get the lift in. But then as you're walking in, you starting to see people around you just dropping like flies around you. Like you don't see anything, you don't hear anything. Like nothing is really happening that you know of with no warnings. Some people around you getting dropped. It's almost like an invisible sniper just somewhere just picking them off one by one. And as this chaos is kind of unfolding, happening around you, you start to realize that nobody else really noticed what's going on either. Like it's just everybody's just seeing people fall around them and nobody's aware what's going on. They didn't see it coming, and neither did you. And this is kind of what it's like when your confidence is being attacked and being killed by one of these five killers that just sneaks up on us and attacks us like this. So it sneaks up on you, and it happens when you're least prepared and not aware of it. It happens when you're not thinking about it that much, and when it happens, you start to question your skills, you have to question your game, and you question your worth. You even think about quitting on your goal. That's how deep it hits you when your confidence get hit. And so, unlike these gym goers who didn't notice what was going on, you can actually prevent this. You can do something to fight these silent attackers and silent killers that are trying to come after you. So let's get together and attack these silent killers so you can stand strong and not be the next victim. So there are 5 major killers of your confidence that can snipe you down too without you even realizing. So the first one, it comes from the environment and the things around us. It's the people you surround yourself with. It's the energy and spaces that you keep up. It's the things that you absorb every day, whether you're seeing it or hearing it or mentally digesting it. The second one's pretty close to it too, but it's more of an internal thing, and it's your fear of judgment. So when you're too focused on what other people are thinking of you, you're distracted, not focused on the goal. You start to hesitate, you second guess yourself, and you start to play small and kind of step back now, so rather stepping forward and being bold. And this leads straight to the third killer, which is now you playing the comparison game. When you're starting to see how other people view you, you're comparing yourself now and start measuring your work and what you've done against other people and stacking your outcomes to their outcomes and your strengths to their weaknesses. Before you know it, your confidence taking a hit and you're going downhill now. But the crazy thing is not all these confidence killers are here to back you down and make you feel small. Because the fourth confidence killer is not about you. It's not about making you feel like you're not good enough. It's you thinking you're too good. We're talking about arrogance here. This is the killer that makes you stop working and stop learning and stop growing, and ultimately ends up making you not progressing and getting to your goal like you want to. But then finally, this last killer, it's the one that's killed so many dreams from dying, and ultimately it feels like a chain around your ankle when you're trying to jump, or a glass ceiling above your head when you're trying to leap up and touch these goals. And it's called the fixed mindset. It's belief that no matter what you do, what you try to go after, you and your growth are not going to change. Like the goal you want isn't possible anymore, and the change that you want to have is not possible for you. So now you know it's lurking in the shadows for you, like Batman when you're trying to get one of these criminals out here in the streets. Now we can break down this first silent killer and build you up for it and prepare for it now.
You ever stepped on the court and it's almost like you forget how to hoop? Like you were just killing it to practice before, but then the game time hits and warms you a little less confident, not feeling as much. But then the game hits. It's almost like somebody took your controller and they unplugged it and it just turned it off. It's not working anymore. So now game time coming, you start pump faking on wide open shots, and on the fast break you hesitated. And by the end of the game, the coach is like, "Who is this kid? Why are they on my team? How'd they get on my team? I don't recognize this player anymore." It's almost like that Space Jam scene when the NBA players got their talent stolen by the aliens and they start looking around like, "Where am I? What is going on with me?"
Come on, we're okay. We're okay. You're all right. Come on, let's go.
Come on, Patrick, it's showtime.
And I get it. I feel you. Confidence is a really tricky thing. It's weird. But I got some good news for you right here. You don't have to hope to feel confident every game, because I made something special just for you. I have a pregame and a postgame checklist for your confidence. All right. It's the things you can do before you step on the court to make sure that you feel confident, and to bounce back after the game to make sure that you're always improving and building your game. So hit the link below and it'll be sent straight to you guys. And it's going to help you out so you don't feel like that 2K player that's just glitching in the middle of the game anymore.
And his name is John Cena.
All right, so it's going to have you get back to feeling like yourself and playing like you never have before. So go ahead and hit the description below and lock in with us and get your confidence rebuilt.
So this first killer is the one that's kind of right under our noses, and it surprisingly gets very sneaky and tricky on how it hurts us and impacts our confidence, and it's the environment. And just like those gym goers that we talked about earlier didn't see it coming, you might not realize the people around you have that big of an impact on you, your life, and your confidence. And the wild thing is that it isn't just like an overnight thing where you go to sleep and wake up the next morning and now your confidence is hit. No, it's the one that sneaks up on you and can walk you down, and it's a slow burner. And it's almost like when your basketball has a leak in it, has a slight tear in it, and now the air's leaking out, or like a tire. And at first you don't notice it. It's nothing to really go crazy about. But over time, you start to feel the ball gets a little bit flatter, or your tires working a little bit crazy. And then by the time you realize it, you had a flat basketball, not a flat tire now. By the time you realize your confidence being leaked out, you run on empty, and you don't really trust yourself and what's going on with you now. So now the first piece of environment to be aware of is actually not the people around you, but the situation within you now. And it's your mind. Your mind is the first environment you got to protect and keep aware of. So when you're talking about your mind and the environment of your mind, be aware of how you're talking to yourself and how you kind of coach yourself and talk through those things. So as you're training and working out, and as you're going through games, and as you're lifting, as you live in your life, be aware of how you're talking to yourself, because the conversations you have with yourself is the most frequent and the longest living one you're going to have. So be mindful of how you're talking to yourself and how you have those conversations, because if you're beating yourself down all the time, you're putting yourself in a negative environment. You're not watering the seed to grow how you want it. So you're not hitting your goals and having the perfect environment, or even like a good environment for your mindset to grow. You're killing yourself by talking to yourself and putting your mindset in a negative environment that you want to be in. Next is kind of get into the imposter syndrome. This is more of a newer thing, more recent thing that we've kind of just stumbled upon, and people have been claiming to be dealing with imposter syndrome. And I think there's two sides of this that I want to talk about. So first, you feel like an imposter when people praise you for something that you feel like you haven't earned or you don't deserve. You feel like you didn't put in this input to get the output that you've gotten, right? And on the good end of it, I want you to say that, well, if you got voted for this all-star game and you don't feel like you match up and deserve what the other girls got or what the other guys got, just take it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't feel like you deserve it, but that doesn't mean you don't deserve it. And that could be a hard situation if you just feel like you don't deserve good things. But just because you don't feel like you got the input to get this outcome and nobody cheated you and it's a fair game, then take it. You know what I mean? It's fine to sit here and say that you put in work, but you don't feel like that level of work was that great. So if I said, hey, you didn't train and then shoot 1,000 shots in the gym, but you go for a game and you shoot 10 for 10 for threes, does that mean you don't count the 3 points now? No, you take it and just take it as opportunity that's or award that's come from the work that you have put in. You just keep working to build up to it. But then there's the other side of it that I feel like imposter syndrome is when internally we feel like an imposter, or like we're going to get found out of being we're not this good. And I think about it in terms of you cheated the game and you scam people to get this outcome now. And I feel like there's the way you can separate these two is knowing that there's a difference between an overnight success and a one hit wonder. And so the people who are overnight success, they say that it took me 10 years to be an overnight success. But the one hit wonders, it took them 10 days, really. This guy just made his one little beat and he started goofing around with his friends. He put it out on SoundCloud. The next thing you know, it blew up overnight. The difference is when those one hit wonders are asked to put an album together now, they have no clue what they're doing because they've never done anything besides, 5 other songs and all of them were terrible. But the one person who's an overnight success, I put 10 years into this thing. So when you ask me to do it again, I already have a system in mind. I already got other stuff that you can go back to and say, hey, this is my body of work to say that I deserve this thing too. So that's the difference when you have this level of imposter syndrome to say, man, I've cheated the game and I just kind of got here off of a lottery ticket. Then yes, you should feel like an imposter because I shouldn't be in the caliber of people who put in 10 years of work to be in a situation. And so that can mess up your confidence when you haven't put in the work to earn this outcome and you haven't had the input to match this output of what you're getting. But when you put in the work and you know that you just need this one breakthrough to happen, you get it. How is that really an imposter syndrome? That's really you just not trusting yourself and being as confident. But rest assured that you put in the work to get this thing. Just because you don't trust it as much doesn't mean that you don't deserve this thing too. And so next is going to be the people around you now and just being your support system and not having you have a lack of support from the people around you. And I know it's going to get tough sometimes, man. There are so many days where you're going to want to give up and you're going to want to quit in this journey. And sometimes you feel like the people closest to you don't believe in you and don't support you. you start to question yourself and feel like if you made the right decision. And you get to a place where it's like, man, do I keep going or do I give up and quit? And the people around you can really push you or pull you away from that decision. And I think another thing to talk about is the limiting beliefs that you have. Some of those are placed in front of people around us who don't believe in us. You can't really go out and do this much. You can't go out and go to the NBA or WNBA. You can't really go to this college and school because we haven't done it either. The people can pull you down by their mindset and mentality, thinking that they're helping you out, but really it's just them putting their limiting beliefs on you. And there's this analogy or this example given where they, on a piece of paper, they put an ant down, and they took a pen and drew a circle around the ant. And so the ant will walk up to this line or this pen and think there's a wall in front of me, so I can't crawl anymore. And just keep going around in a circle and keep bumping into this line saying I can't do it. And they just make the circle tighter and tighter and tighter until the ant just going in a small circle now. And the same thing with the spider, where they drew a circle around the spider. The spider walks up to it and it's like, oh, I can't do it. And they try to draw the circle around them again, and it accidentally bumps the spider while trying to draw the circle. And next thing you know, the spider's like, oh, this is not a real wall. Let me keep walking and going now. And they kept trying to draw new circles around it, but the spider just kept crawling over now and going wherever it wanted to. And so that's how limiting beliefs are. Well, we think and believe that this thing is blocking and stopping us, but it's really just our mindset, and we believe that this thing is holding us back, but not really. There's another example I want to throw at you of where there's this study done where they put, let's say, 4 monkeys in this container, right? And there's a ladder, and at the top of the ladder is bananas. So of course, monkeys and bananas, they want to go together. So
Banana. Stuart? Banana.
yeah, monkey number A or monkey number 1 climbs up to the ladder and try to get it. But every time the monkey climbs up, they would shock the monkeys and say, whoop, that hurts. Monkey number 2 kind of, all right, cool. You did your thing. Get out my way. Let me get my banana. Shocks him again. And it's like, man, that hurt. Monkey number 3 climbs up, same thing. Monkey number 4 climbs up, same thing. All of them keep getting shocked. And so over time, the monkey's like, man, let me chill out, man. I'm not trying to sit here and do this. So the monkey climbs up again. The other monkey's like, bro, chill out. We don't care banana that much anymore. We good. I'm not trying to get shocked. Stop playing with me. So they took monkey number 1 out. Boom. Put a new monkey number 1 in. Monkey number 1 like, man, what y'all doing? Bananas up there and y'all ain't getting it? Psh, more for me then. Cool. But the other 3 monkeys know what's up. Like, hey, we ain't playing with that, man. Stop playing. Curious George, don't be curious right now. Stop playing on getting on the ladder. So the other 3 monkeys would pull monkey number 1, the new monkey number 1, pull him down the ladder and make him not go up there anymore. Because they know that, hey, we've been shocked going up that ladder. So we're not going to get shocked again because you want to be curious and trying to come up here and eat bananas. Monkey number 1 like, bro, what y'all doing? Stop doing it. And over time, he learns to say that, man, okay, we're going to do that over here. All right, cool, fine. So then monkey number 2 gets out and a new monkey number 2 comes in. Then new monkey number 1, 3, and 4 pull monkey number 2 down because they know the same thing. That's what's up. Monkey number 2 climbs up. Chill out, bro. We don't do that over here. And over time, they can replace all of the original monkeys are gone now, and new monkeys are put in. So none of the new monkeys have ever been shocked, but they all still believe that this is not the route that we go. We don't go up and climb these ladders because we just don't do it. But no real sense of why we don't do it, but they just don't do it. And this is how it is in our society sometimes, to where our parents will sit down and have us say, hey, we don't do these things. We don't go over here and do that. And they're putting these limited beliefs on you without really the education and forming of the new ideas and mindsets that time has changed. And we're in a new environment, new age, to where this thing can be done. It wasn't possible in this era, in this generation. And so now you have people putting these limited beliefs on you without realizing it's a new era, new time frame, and you have no concept of why this ceiling is over your head now. Things are pulling you down because it's just the environment that you're in. If we don't do this thing. So you might have a new team where it's like, hey, chill out, man. We don't joke over here. This is a serious locker room over here. And it's like, bro, man, my old locker room used to do that all the time, man. That's what you mean. And so people will pull you down and hold you back in this new environment because this is the way things have been done and things have ran. But the new person in this environment doesn't realize that this is kind of crazy for me because this is a new environment and it's what it could be. But now he or she is being held down by this new environment that they're in now to say, hey, I'm not doing this because this new environment that doesn't do that now. And so this is just an example of how people want to maintain status quo or keep the the way things are and keep them the same. They don't want to embrace the change. So be aware if your environment is keeping you held down and limited by these limited beliefs, or are these actual things that cannot be done? Is it that you think it can't be done, or it actually can't be done? Another example of your environment is I had this girl I was coaching and training, and she's in a situation where her dad would be getting on to her at the games. I'm talking about we at the games and just going crazy. And even in training, just going crazy and just man, what is she doing? Yelling and stuff. And you could visibly see the girl just getting dejected and getting torn down inside. Of course, she wouldn't say anything, but you can just tell that she's not feeling as confident now. She's not feeling as as free to be able to do what she wants to do. So she's hesitant to shoot the ball. She's hesitant to do other things that we all know that she can do. She's hesitant now, second guessing things because she's getting torn down by her dad. And so it took a time where coach talked to her, talked to him and had the conversations like, you have to adjust how you're doing things, man, because she performs better when she doesn't have dad tearing her down, being creating this environment where she doesn't feel confident, doesn't feel safe to just explore and be free. And so over time, he would adjust things. And sometimes he still riled up and yelling things, but sometimes he dialed it back. And more times than not, we had to find a sweet spot of being dad, but still coaching her too. Just because parents mean well and they want to coach you, it doesn't mean that they're creating the best environment for your confidence for you to perform. And so be mindful of how your parents and even your friends are around you, because just because they mean well and they want to do all these things, I mean, they're creating the best environment for you to grow. So you can have two different seeds. They need two different soils, two different waters. And doesn't mean that's the best environment for them because they're both in the same thing. Two different ones in two different environments. So make sure that you're in the right environment for your confidence and mindset to grow. And next is being around what you want to be compared to. So, you know, the whole thing they say, if you show me your 4 closest friends, I can show you what your future looks like. They say if you're around 4 rich people, you'll be end up being a fifth. You around 4 broke people, you end up being a fifth. You end up around 4 people who smoke, you end up being a fifth. You're around 4 people who drink, you end up being a fifth. And so think about who you're around, the environment that you're around, in terms of who you compare yourself to. So I found myself a lot of times being where I measure how hard I'm working by the people around me and seeing what they're doing too, in a good competitive way. And I say that to say that if you're around lazy people, of course you're gonna look good. If you're around people who aren't great shooters and you think, oh, I'm shooting 50 shots a day and they're shooting 0, I'm doing better. I'm doing good. I'm doing better than them, so I must be doing good. So you get around a sniper, you get around a Steph Curry, you get around a Caitlin Clark or a Sabrina Ionescu, and like, oh, I shoot 150 to 200 shots a day. It's like, oh, I'm not really doing as well. So you gotta be mindful of who you comparing yourself to, because you can be in a situation where you think you're doing good, you think you're doing great even, but you realize that it's just really the environment that you're in. It's really small. It's kind of capping you, keeping you small of where you could be. But then also there's times where you don't believe in yourself. You're not confident in yourself. You have to really lie and borrow other people's confidence.
Little dude, let me hold the dock. Thanks.
To make you believe that you can do it. So going back to having limiting beliefs, you may have limiting beliefs, but when you get around this other person who's like, bro, this thing is possible. I can do this thing. This thing is easy. It's something that can be done. There's no problem about it. So you might have to borrow their belief and their confidence for you to get through and make sure it can get done. So you might have been told, oh, you can't make it to the WNBA. But your friend believes, it's possible. I got to keep working and training to make it be a more possible thing. So you might still not believe, but borrow their confidence, their faith, and their belief that you can do it too. Keep working and training. And now your environment has changed you for the better now. And so how do you fix it to where your environment is building around you? Kind of just mentioned one part of it is be mindful of who you got around you, because if you have the right people around you, the right people can pour into you into where you believe in yourself more than you ever thought you could. And you're borrowing their confidence, their belief, now make you feel better and building your confidence up. Then going back to the first part where it's more internal, be aware of how you're talking to yourself and how you treat yourself, how you think and what you're consuming mentally, and make sure that you're not feeding yourself negative thoughts and things that are going to tear you down, not getting towards your goal. And so not having the right people around you, having the right environment can actually lead to killer number 2, which is the fear of failure. And people say, oh, I'm afraid to fail, but I don't think it's the real truth. I like to call it a fear of judgment, which means that you are afraid of what people are going to think of you if you don't get the outcome. And so when the problem with fear of failure or really fear of judgment is that you get to a position where you're afraid to go try. You get afraid to go and do this thing because if you fail, you don't want to get judged and think about how the outcome goes. So I had a kid I was training who they would it's funny because they would go out and do about 60% and they'll mess up and fail and they be like,
I wasn't really going that hard. I don't really care for real. I don't even trying that hard for real.
and like, bro, try hard then, man. Like, we trying to get better here. We trying to work. And he would keep doing that. And just because he didn't want to look bad in front of me. And it's like, dude, I don't care. This is the purpose of being here for you to mess up and you can get better. So it's easy for me to notice that and point that out because that was me when I was a kid. I was the person who sometimes want to be too cool and trying to be, instead of sprinting it all out and going how I needed to go, I do a cool 60% jog and trying to be all cool and thinking if I get beat, because I was supposed to be the fastest player. So if I get beat,
I wasn't trying for real, man. It don't matter.
you miss a shot.
I just joke around trying to shoot the ball for real.
You mess around and get the ball stole from you. I get my shot blocked.
I want to play for real, man. You can have it.
So it's easy for me to spot that in my player I was training because that was me as a kid. Now I was such afraid of being judged, thinking about he's supposed to be the fastest player. What are you doing? He's supposed to be so good. Why are you messing up? I was afraid of being judged. The failure wasn't the problem. It was me being judged for the failure. And now you can be in a situation where you're free of that now. Okay. So how do you fix this? How do you fix this fear of failure? First, that failure is very real. Failure is a thing that's not going to be avoided. It's something that you can't just remove from your life. It's going to be there. It's very real, and accept it. And then two, accept that people are going to judge you. You can't remove people from judging you either. Where, man, people judge Jesus, people judge Jordan, LeBron, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. Your favorite players are all being judged on a daily. And if they're the best basketball players ever, who are you to not be judged for your basketball game? People are going to have something to say. So accept that and just embrace it. It's going to happen. And I think that if we realize the weight of the judgment that does happen to us is not that bad, it's not as heavy when we think about it, we can move a little bit better. And so I think about it in terms of there are times when I see people and I do judge it like, man, it's kind of crazy how he did that. But then 5 seconds later, I moved on to my next thought or whatever I was doing again. So I'm on my phone, texting whatever, and I notice something. Oh, this girl tripped up and fell. Ha, ha, ha. Back to what I was doing. It's not that deep. So I started thinking about that more and more. I was like, man, I'm pretty sure other people like this too. And I'm talking with friends. So if you notice it that, oh, man, girl, that's crazy. You laugh. All right, back to business, whatever you're doing. And we remember that people are like that too. It helps us move on. The weight of us feeling like, oh, we're being judged so heavily, it's going to make a lot of load for us. And when you get too caught up in this judgment and this fear of failure and fear of judgment from others, it really kind of makes you judge yourself, which leads to killer number 3, which is comparison. And people say comparison is a thief of joy, but I'll add that it's a thief of confidence. So especially with me being an American and most of us listen to us being in America, you have this mindset of the enoughs. And it's making sure or feeling like you don't have enough. You have to have more cars or have more shoes, have more clothes. You have to have more money. Or feel like you're never going to be enough. You're never going to be confident enough. You're not going to be disciplined enough or be good looking enough. You're never going to be enough. And it causes the insecurities in us because you're always going to feel like you're less than and don't have enough, which leads back to imposter syndrome. You feel like you're a step behind everybody because the next key piece of where this comparison comes up is social media. We all scroll on social media and have to look at my best friend from high school way back when, he's doing pretty good in life now. He's married and, he got a good job, got a nice car, so on and so forth. Or, man, my ex-boyfriend doing good. Now he moved on from me and da-da-da-da. This whole comparison thing's messing us up and it kills our confidence because we're always thinking we're a step or two behind and we're comparing their lane to my lane, and it's not fair for a lot of us. I know for me personally, man, I deal with this a lot too, and I look at other trainers, see what they're doing. I'm like, man, I'm not doing enough, man. They killing over here and doing this thing over here, and I'm not doing enough over here. Oh, I see her, she's killing it, man. I love to see what she's doing. But then I look at myself, I'm like, I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing that right. And one thing that helps me is to just get off social media because I end up being jealous and I end up kind of almost resenting them because I'm not matching what they have, which is crazy to think about because on one hand, you have to realize that comparison is not fair because you don't know what they did to get there. And so you have to realize that thing that they have is not a bad thing, but you don't know what they sacrificed and went to get and what they did to get there. And you don't know if you're going to make that same sacrifice to get the same thing that they have. So if you want to make sure that you're helping yourself to avoid this comparison thing to make up your confidence is be mindful of who you're comparing yourself to in terms of Make sure that you're not looking at somebody's, how to say, you're on page 1, chapter 1, and somebody's on page 50. You can't compare those two. Or if you're in the 8th grade, why are you comparing yourself to an NBA player or a college player? Two different things. If you've just started playing basketball, even if I'll make it this simple to you. If you're in the 7th grade or 8th grade, comparing yourself to other people who've been playing basketball since they were in 5th grade and having trained since they were in 5th grade, you just kind of pick it up and get into it. Why are you comparing yourself to these people? Don't compare yourself to the extent where you're thinking is you tearing yourself down. It's you need to compare yourself to see where the gap is and where you are, but you don't judge yourself for that comparison. Comparison is completely fine, but when you start to judge yourself for this comparison, where you mess up. Don't look at your page 1 and page 50 and say, I'm not good enough, not doing well enough. It's like, okay, I see where I'm at now. You get a litmus test to see how good or how bad you are. Compare yourself is fine, but you want to put judgment with that comparison too. Leads me to point 3 is that you can be like you're on a different path and a different journey from these people. So think about it in terms of, you can be in a Prius comparing yourself to a Tesla thinking you're not doing enough. Or you can be in a plane comparing yourself to a boat and thinking you're not doing enough. We're just two different vehicles. The plane and the boat, we're going to get the different time frames. You need different things to get to this time frame, different environment they're going to be around. But the plane comparing itself to a boat, thinking, I'm not confident because I'm not able to just sail on water like that. Prius looking at the Tesla like, man, I wish I could do a little bit more of that. I wish I could do some more electric vehicle driving, but not knowing that, bro, I can put $20 in you and fill up for a good week and a half, really, and do fine. Everybody else complaining about gas prices. So it's just you being focused on your journey and your path, not comparing yourself and judging yourself off these comparisons. This next thing that keeps me in check in terms of my comparison game being in check of where it should be, and kind of leads to some level of the next killer number 4 is that you don't want to get this unearned or not prepared for a thing that you think you want to have. In a training game, everybody wants to have, the D1 players or the Kentuckys, the Duke, the South Carolinas, the UConns, right? You get one of these players not realizing you don't know how to really train and prepare these players to get better at how they need to get. So you're still doing 8th grade drills with them when they need, level 3 drills. These are pro players who they're past learning how to do a left hand layup or learning how to get their form out on their shot. They need more than that now. And so you don't want to get this thing comparing to the man. Why they have all the pro players? Why they have all these great players? You'll know that. And so I think this killer leads to killer number 4 is that you get too arrogant. Your confidence gets shot because you're not prepared for this thing. You haven't put in the work to earn this thing. And you get arrogant when you feel like I don't have to work and I don't have to train, I don't have to prepare for this thing. You feel like you're so good. You feel like you don't have to put in the work. And sometimes it can really be your insecurities masking as arrogance. So going back to the example I gave before, the player I had who would just
See, I'm good, man. I ain't gotta do this. I'm just playing around, man. I ain't been trying that hard.
Not saying he is arrogant, but that can come from the same line of being like, I'm too good to have to train and work this way. And sometimes a little bit of me feeling like I don't have to try as hard or thinking I was too good is really my insecurity talking. Is me not wanting to put my effort out there because I don't want to be judged that way. But arrogance is another problem because it sets unrealistic goals for you. So you're thinking, man, why am I not getting scholarships? Why am I not scoring 20 points a game? Where's you being arrogant thinking I can hit this goal, but you haven't trained and prepared for hit this goal to hit 20 points a game. You're not putting in enough reps and putting enough work to be able to score 20 points a game. And so how do you avoid this issue of being over arrogant that kills your confidence? Is that you put in the work. It's that simple. But you also have to accept that you're not that good yet, which is also fine. A lot of times we feel like, oh, we're not good enough, and it just stops there. But like, no. It's okay to not be good enough, but it's not okay to not do something about it. It's okay to not be good enough, but it's not okay to complain about not doing it. And then you're comparing yourself and you complain about other people, but you're not working to overcome and change things for you. And now your confidence being shot because you're just over here being arrogant and not putting in the work. And you start to feel like you just can't get better sometimes, which actually leads me to killer number 5 is that you have a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. And so when you have a fixed mindset, it's that you basically value the outcome and the things that and how well you perform versus the work that you're putting into it. And so that if you have a game where the outcome isn't where you want it to do, it's not hitting your average, you're playing below what you feel like you could be doing, then you feel bad and you feel like that's what you are. Or you feel like you can't really change and grow that, oh, just the way I am, or I'm always going to be this way. And you end up sometimes getting to where you have this mindset of being perfect or this mindset of perfection. When you have a perfection mindset, things have to be 100%. An A is not good enough. I have to have 100. 99s aren't cool. I need to have 100. Versus progress says, I put in the work that I can. I've done all I could have done, and that's the best I have. And that's it. Living with that is how you keep your mindset fresh to be able to grow and keep your confidence up to know that I don't have to live without this outcome. I can live without the input, and I can control the inputs. I can make sure that I'm doing things that require me to get this. Whether I get it or not, I can live and die with that because I can control the outcomes, but I control the inputs that I have. And so how do you change this mindset from a fixed mindset? It's the first reality you can change. It's possible for you to grow. It's possible for you to adapt. It's possible for you to change. And then hang around those that do the thing in that environment because, once again, seeing people that have this confidence that they can do this thing, you can borrow that confidence that change your mindset to say, maybe it is possible for me to do this. I can get this shackles off my ankle and get this glass ceiling broken to where I can improve and do more. And so that's it, man. Those are the 5 silent, confident killers. Your environment, the fear of judgment, the comparison, being arrogant, and the fixed mindset. So now that you know it's coming for you and you have the tools to fight back, you won't be one of the ones that getting dropped off in the gym by a silent sniper. You won't be blindsided and be taken back when you just not having your confidence where you want it to be and making the moves that you want to. But confidence isn't just about these killers, though. It's also about understanding how confidence really works, and especially at the high level. Like, it's one thing to understand at your level that you're on, but the highest level at the pros, they work a little bit different there. So in my next episode, my interview, I sit down with Scott Goldman. He's a high performance psychologist who's worked with pro players, and I'm pretty sure he's worked with your favorite player. I'm pretty sure he has. And so we talked about some of these things and break down how confidence impacts us both in the mindsets and in the performance aspect, and both in the mentally and the physical aspect, and different hidden factors that separate the elites from the averages.
I came across a study where they asked Olympic medal winners, not just Olympians, not just premier athletes, but Olympic medal winners. So remember, like gold, silver, bronze, like these are the top 3 performers of the event every 4 years. I mean, it's a pretty significant thing to win a medal, right? And when they asked them what was the one thing they wish they could have more of from a psychological performance construct, the number one answer that was given was confidence. So it kind of left me kind of scratching my head, like, how is it that Olympic medal winners are asking for more confidence? If anybody, those should be the ones that are most confident, right? Like, hey, you just took gold in the 100 meters. Like, that's a pretty big deal. And you want more confidence? Like, that's wild to me. I think the other part of the concept of confidence is understanding what it is. It's also like understanding how to go about and get it. Because if winning a gold medal doesn't do it for you, then what does?
And so you can't miss this episode. All right, you can't miss it. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you next video. Let's keep in this blueprint together.